I tested his love by leaving him. He passed by never coming back. I'll be the first to admit it. I thought I was being strategic. Smart, even. Maybe a little cruel, but only in a way I believed would pay off in the end. I loved him. God, I loved him. And I thought if I played my cards right, he'd finally see what he had. We'd been together for nearly 3 years. Met during our second year of college, the usual way, through friends and alcohol and that inexplicable sense of, oh hey, you feel like home. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't the loudest guy in the room, or the one with the most attention. But he had this quiet kindness, this way of listening when you talked like your words mattered. His name was Josh. At first, things were perfect. I know everyone says that, but they really were. He'd bring me coffee before class, leave notes in my laptop case, rub my back after my long shifts at the bookstore. And I was good to him too. I cooked badly, made playlists for him, took him on surprise weekend trips. We were that couple who everyone thought would last. We thought so too. But around the 2-year mark, something shifted. Not all at once, but slowly. Subtle things. He started replying to texts later. Our weekend plans were often up in the air. When we did hang out, he was there but not present, distracted, distant. I asked if something was wrong. He always said no, just tired, stressed, busy. And yeah, maybe I was insecure. Maybe I was afraid I was losing him, even if he never said so. But instead of confronting it directly, I came up with what I thought was a brilliant plan. I told myself if I broke up with him, not in anger, but in some cool and different way, he'd freak out, realize he was about to lose me, come back crawling, finally showing me that kind of passion and desperation I was aching to feel from him again. So one Thursday night in April, I invited him over to talk. He came, tired as usual, and sat down across from me like we were about to negotiate a lease or something. I told him I didn't think this was working anymore, that maybe we were growing apart. I said it as calmly and unemotionally as I could, half expecting him to panic. Instead, he sat there quietly, nodded, rubbed the back of his neck, and said, "Yeah, I've been feeling that too." I was floored. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. I stared at him, waiting, begging him, in my head, to fight for us, to ask me why I was doing this, to say, "No, I still love you, we can fix this." But he didn't. He just sighed and said, "I think you're probably right." I won't lie, I felt like I'd swallowed broken glass. I kept a straight face and nodded along like this was all according to plan, but inside I was screaming. We hugged goodbye. No tears. No yelling. No big, dramatic goodbye kiss. He left, and that door closing behind him was the loudest silence I'd ever heard. I thought he'd text, that he'd call the next day, say he couldn't stop thinking about me, that a breakup had made everything clear. But he didn't. A week went by. Then 2. I held back, thinking maybe he was trying to play a game now, trying to outweight me. But when I finally checked his Instagram, I saw something I didn't expect. A photo of him smiling, with another girl, and he looked happier than he'd been in months. I stared at that photo for a full 5 minutes. It wasn't even anything crazy, just Josh at some little indie coffee shop, laughing with a girl I didn't recognize. She was pretty, but not intimidatingly so. More like effortless. Wavy dark hair, a loose sweatshirt that hung off one shoulder, no makeup but still glowing. Her smile was real, unforced. His arm was resting behind her on the back of the bench, casual, comfortable. The caption? Just a coffee emoji and needed this today. But the comments? Cute couple. Okay, yeah, you too. Who's the lucky girl? And the worst part? He liked all the comments. No denial. No, just friends. No ambiguity. I don't even remember setting my phone down, just the dull, rising ache in my chest as it all sank in. I thought breaking up with him would be the reset button. A wake-up call. The moment he realized I was the one, and he needed to try harder. I imagined a dramatic, romantic reconciliation. A run-through-the-airport moment. Instead, he moved on. Quickly. Easily. And with someone who, based on her tag photos, didn't seem like she needed to test him to know her worth. I spiraled. Checked her Instagram. Her name was Marissa. She posted pictures of matcha lattes, dogs in sweaters, and film camera selfies. One of those people who just looked like they had it all together. She followed yoga pages and made acai bowls. She was the kind of girl I had always made fun of, but only because I knew deep down I'd never be that effortlessly cool. And it wasn't just the photo. It was what followed. Suddenly, his stories were full of them hiking, cooking together, going to art galleries. Stuff he always said he wasn't into when I suggested it. I told myself I should be happy he was happy. But I wasn't. I was bitter. Confused. Hurt. Why didn't he fight for me? Why was she getting the best version of him? About a month after the breakup, we ran into each other at a mutual friend's birthday party. I hadn't planned on going, but I needed answers, or maybe just closure. He showed up with her. I watched them from across the backyard, nursing a drink I didn't want and pretending to be in the middle of a very deep conversation with some guy from accounting I barely knew. Josh looked relaxed, confident. He laughed louder than I remembered, but not in a performative way, just like he was at ease. Finally, he saw me. He came over, gently pulling away from Marissa, and said, "Hey." I nodded. "Hey." We stood there in that awkward, X-shaped silence. I broke first. "So you and her?" He smiled, almost shyly. "Yeah, she's great." I waited for a question. "How are you? How have you been?" But nothing came. Instead, I blurted, "Did you ever think about us? After?" He hesitated. Not cruelly, just honest. I did. But I also realized I was in a relationship where I constantly felt like I was being tested. Like I had to prove myself all the time. I swallowed. Hard. He continued, gently. "Marissa doesn't make me feel like that. It's easy with her. And I didn't know how much I needed that." He wasn't trying to hurt me. But he did. I left that party early, tears welling up before I even hit the driveway. The night I got home from that party, I collapsed onto my bed and cried harder than I had the day we broke up. Because this time, it wasn't about losing him. It was about realizing that I did this. I'd pushed and pulled, played games, created distance, all to make him chase me. I thought love was something you proved under pressure. That if I made him feel like I could leave at any time, he'd cling tighter. Want me more? I thought uncertainty equaled passion. But all it did was wear him down. When Josh said he felt like he was always being tested, I wanted to argue. Defend myself. Tell him I was just scared, that I needed reassurance. That deep down, I just wanted to feel chosen. But in that moment, I saw everything from his side. I remembered the way I'd withheld affection when I was upset, the cold silences, the subtle guilt trips. I remembered giving him just enough to keep him close, but never enough to feel safe. I confused control with security, and in trying to make him love me harder, I made him love me less. 4 weeks after that, I replayed every moment of our relationship, every time I could have chosen softness but didn't, every time I used attachment like a weapon. I wasn't the villain, exactly, but I wasn't the partner I thought I was either. And slowly, the bitterness started to turn into something else. Accountability. It was painful, ugly, but necessary. I unfollowed him and Marissa. Not out of spite, but because I needed space. I stopped checking their stories. I stopped imagining scenarios where he came back. I stopped believing I was the victim in a tragedy I'd partially authored. Instead, I started therapy. Signed up for a journaling group. Took myself out to dinner alone just to learn how to sit with the discomfort of being by myself and not hating it. I learned how to express my needs without expecting people to decode them. How to love without strings. How to let someone feel safe, not tested. And I realized something that floored me. The version of me Josh needed, the version Marissa got without even trying, was the version I had always had inside me. I just never trusted it was enough. I won't say I'm glad it happened. That would be dishonest. If I could go back, I'd treat him differently. I'd tell him what I needed without playing mind games. I'd love him better. But I can't. What I can do is grow. I ran into them again a few months ago, actually. At a farmer's market. She was holding his hand. He looked happy. This time I smiled. Genuinely. And walked past without the sting. I'm not over it, not completely. Love doesn't vanish like that. But I'm no longer haunted by what if. I'm not waiting for him to come back. Because even if he did, I'm not the same girl anymore. I used to think that losing someone meant I wasn't enough. Now I know. It meant I had work to do and I'm doing it. I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content. Every single day.